What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode here, the Side Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts from the side, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Side Guys, Tad Sai. And Tad, I'm actually kind of proud of myself based on last week's episode. I guess not even last week, depends on when you listen to the episode, but our last episode specifically, I did better at trivia than I thought I was going to do. Like, honestly, I was able to reason out a lot of them. Like, I was going in absolutely thinking I was going to bomb it completely, but yeah, after it was all said and done, I felt pretty good about the results.
Yeah, you're the worst. I specifically made it draft focused so you would bomb.
That is true. That is
and
very
then you
true.
beat me by 7 points.
Yeah.
Your memory of the 2005 draft is disturbingly good.
Like I said, that was a very key year because that was the last time the Niners had a number one overall pick that I can remember at least, right? And so it's I remember specifically I was dealing with the struggles of, we talked about it on the podcast episode. That's I was dealing with struggles of Ken Dorsey, Sean Hill, Cody Pickett, Trent Dilfer was our quarterback for a little bit during that time too. So just yeah, for us to possibly see that beacon of hope by getting the number one overall pick and drafting either at the time Alex Smith or Aaron Rodgers, it was all right, this is going to lead a change in franchise history. But little did I know that, the Niners were going to swap out offensive coordinators every single year. So it really didn't matter which quarterback they drafted. So, but yeah, that's a story for another day. But just, yeah, so I knew that draft pretty well. I'm surprised I got all the top 5. I knew lots of those guys went in the top 10 and I knew the teams they went to, but yeah, I was surprised when you said, nope, that was the exact top 5. I was like, wow, okay. I really did know the draft pretty damn well.
So much.
Yeah.
So much. But if you think that you could beat a MERS score, which was 41, correct?
I believe so. I don't remember the exact numbers, but we can confirm those numbers and we can share it on our social media handles later.
Yep, no, we definitely will later today, actually, of recording. But if you think that you can beat a MER, take the quiz. It's on YouTube right now. Go to the LAFB Network YouTube channel. Is the NFL Draft Quiz. And if you beat a MER, let us know on social media so I can please make fun of him for something because I got zero ammo right now.
Yeah. Please take the quiz. It's a lot of fun for sure. Our good friends at LAFB Network, they've all been taking the last one we did when I gave the quiz and I proctored for you. And so, yeah, I'm pretty sure the same thing's going to be happening with this one as well. So, yeah, it's a fun way to sort of get into it. Well, hopefully you'll do a few more of those during the off season as well. But we're going to continue with our draft coverage in today's episode. We're attacking, the defense. We've done a lot of the offensive groups, Tad, with some of our earlier episodes. But yeah, this one's a defensive centric episode. We're talking about the front seven specifically. We're talking about the defensive tackles. We're talking about the defensive ends, and edge rushers are sort of lumped into that as well. But before we get into all of that, this is a good time to be a sports fan. I keep saying this the last handful of episodes, maybe longer than that. But I mean, it's true because it's as of recording, this is the very last day of the NBA regular season. We got the MLB season going on. The NHL regular season is about to end too. So, I mean, we're coming up on playoff time for both the NHL and the NBA. You always got MLB. We just had the Masters tournament. Today's the final round, of the Masters tournament today. So there's a lot that you could be betting on. And our good friends, our good sponsors at Underdog Fantasy want you to get in on the action because, I mean, it's just a ton of fun to use their platform. All you got to do is make anywhere between 2 and 5 different prop bet picks across any of the sports that I listed, including some that I didn't even get to as well. They have a lot of sports that you can bet on. The more picks you make, the more potential money you can win. And they want you to get to the action so bad, they gave us a fantastic promo code so you could double up on your just deposit of $10 or more, up to $500 using our promo code DESAI, DESAI. And like I said, you could double up on your just deposit of $10 or more, up to $500. So if you were to put in that maximum amount on your first deposit, only the first one. Put in that $500. You can bet with up to $1,000 on their betting platform. They'll match that dollar for dollar. So yeah, you can bet with a ton of money on their platform. You can use the website. You can use their apps on Android and Apple devices. So I mean, it's a great way to get into it. Ton of fun, lots that you can be betting on, a little bit money you can make right before we hit the summer season when people, like yourself, Tad, they're going on summer vacation, in about a month or so. So it's like, a little bit of spending money during that time. But yeah, once again, use that promo code DESAI, DESAI, to double up on your initial deposit of $10 more, up to $500, courtesy of our good friends at Underdog Fantasy. And I mean, Tad, pretty sure we'll get some draft bets as soon as we get a little bit closer. So, I mean, guys, don't be surprised if we drop a few, we did them during the fantasy season. We may drop, a quick, YouTube short with some of our favorite picks during the draft. So if they get that, then definitely we got you covered there. So look out for that. But yeah, that's a great way you can bet with Underdog Fantasy as well. But let's sort of get into that content, Ted, talking about the draft here. Like we talked about, we're going into a defensive-centric episode. We're talking about edge rushers, talking about defensive tackles, and maybe even some defensive ends that sort of like, don't quite align with defensive tackles, don't quite align with edge rushers. But I mean, let's start at the top here. I mean, this is the prime position, edge rushers, getting after the quarterback. It is a pass-first league. You need guys who can get after the quarterback. It's one of those positions where it's just like you can never have too many of them now, where it's just like you need guys sort of rotating in on a regular basis, keep guys fresh, get after the quarterback, get some pressure, hopefully force some turnovers, but at the very least force the 3-and-outs to get your offense the ball. So, I mean, looking at this edge rusher class, Tad, who are some guys that you're liking? Who are some guys that you're surprisingly not liking? Because, I mean, we'll get to mine in a bit, but there's a guy that I'm actually kind of down on that a lot of people are very high on. So, I mean, we'll get to that in a bit here, but let's start with your pick here. Who's the guy that you're loving or hating out of the edge rusher class?
Well, first off, let's touch on that. What you said is, I feel like the era of pure defensive end is done.
It's true. It's true. I think it depends on the defensive alignment that you have. I think there are some that still use somewhat of a traditional defensive end, but like you said, I very much agree. That's like that sort of traditional thing. Like, it's just gone. Just like the pitcher batting in the NL, that's gone in MLB. This is the same thing here, where it's just like it has been morphed out. Very similar to like the fullback. There's very few teams that use a fullback, so it's like
even then the fullback is a glorified wide receiver. At this point,
true.
Look at Juszczyk. Like, Juszczyk is not known for his blocking. He's known for, hey, he's a pretty good blocker who's also really fast.
Very true.
It's true. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's, we and the reason I bring this up is to explain it to our viewers and listeners is because by edge rushers, we mean basically any pass rusher who isn't being put in the middle of, like, maybe he does fit in more as a traditional defensive end, but at this point in time, it's impossible to do the whole, no, he's an outside linebacker, no, he's defensive end. They're the same thing. Like the draft, this is the hardest position to categorize, not to scout, but to categorize. Because it's just like, but that also goes into play of like, maybe this guy is a good edge rusher and he can drop back in coverage, which brings me to my most overrated edge rusher of this year's draft. It's Adisa Isaac. I think I'm pronouncing that right. The defensive end / edge rusher out of Penn State. Man, I want to like this guy. I wanted to like him so bad. He's not a good edge rusher. He's now, and the reason the segue will make sense is because when he drops into coverage, he's really, really good. And I can see the promise there of like, oh, you don't know if he's on the field, if he's going to drop back or not. And that's a very real threat. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where, like, if he rushes, I'm not that worried. Like, if you're going to be that threat of a guy who can do both, you got to be good at both. And he's solid in zone coverage and man coverage. But in terms of pass rush, I mean, I watched 2 game tapes of this guy. And my main question after watching those 2 games was, does he know how to pass rush? Because basically he's a freak athlete, very quick. Probably the quickest edge rusher in this year's draft. I will, plant my flag on that take. Here's the problem, though, is he relies way too heavily on that. Is he just like, if he isn't faster than the offensive tackle, he just gets absolutely swallowed by these guys. So he just depends on his athleticism a little too much. He tends to, this was a big red flag I had on him. Like I say, he's very quick, very fast, very aggressive. I understand all the hype around him for those reasons. However, that, in my opinion, is his biggest negative because, like I said, he relies on it too heavily. He has not developed a good arsenal of pass rush moves. But more importantly, this dude over pursues way too much, especially on option plays.
Can be a problem.
It's a huge problem, especially with how the NFL is moving now towards more RPO, more read option plays. And I'm trying to remember, there was the Clemson guy a couple was it last year we were saying where he over pursued and then he'd turn around like 20 yards down the field, the ball carrier would be, and he'd be like, oh shit. It was oh god, this could drive
Miles Murphy.
It was Miles Murphy.
Yeah.
That's exactly who it was. Good call. And it's Miles Murphy 2.0, where like he gets in the backfield and then all of a sudden he's like, all right, where's the guy? Oh yeah, shit, there he is. It's just
I remember that very vividly with Miles Murphy's tape from watching it last year. That it happened too often.
And I saw the same thing in Isaac's tape where he was just like, all right, I'm in the back. Oh no, it's a touchdown. Damn it. And it was just like, it's like, I understand the hype around it. And look, I'm not saying Isaac's bad. There's a lot to work with there.
Sure.
But 4th or 5th, maybe you can talk me into a 3rd round pick. 100%. I'm very down for that. This guy's going to probably go top of the 2nd round. And that is the mistake, in my opinion. Okay. So I'm not saying he's going to be a bust. I'm just saying in terms of where he's going to be drafted, I think that there are going to be way too heavy of expectations on him to produce immediately because he is this freak athlete. And NFL teams go, oh, athleticism, I love it. No, I don't love it at the top of the 2nd round. I don't like Isaac that much as a – and we'll obviously drop our top 10 rankings on Twitter and on Instagram in a couple days, but man, I don't even know if he's breaking my top 5.
No, that's fair. Actually, when I saw his name, like, you're looking at various, position rankings through other media publications, and you just sort of, I've seen this name creep up the position rankings.
That's what's scaring me. Like, that's what's scary because he's testing well, because he's a freak athlete, so he's testing very well.
Yeah, because it's like I remember entering the draft season, I was like, okay, this is not a name that I've heard of before. But now, like I said, all of a sudden, it's like I'm seeing him there at like, number 6. I'm seeing him at number 5. I'm seeing him at like, at least number 7 on all of these like, edge rusher position rankings. I'm just like, who is this guy? So I've yet to actually go in and watch his tape. But I mean, everything that you sort of laid out, I mean, that's very understandable as to why scouts would find that appealing, where it's like you got that athletic ability. It's like, okay, you can coach up some of these things about the awareness. You can coach up like, not to over pursue and some of those things where it's like the athletic part, that's the part that's harder to coach up. So it's like, if you can already have that, you can work all the refinement and the, the read recognition and the IQ and all that stuff. That can come with a little bit more seasoning in the NFL. So it's like, I can see why he's creeping up the boards, but just like for me, it's just like, I feel like I want a little bit more of that IQ part for me to be like, okay, yes, this is like, okay, yes, I could stamp my flag. That's like, okay, I got the athletic ability. I could see the potential with the IQ as well. Now we just need to treat him, teach him up just a little bit more. And now we have ourselves a very good pass rusher that we can add to our rotational group, at least in his rookie year. Whereas like, with the Isaac, it's just like, depending on how he develops, I don't know how soon he could get into the rotation. Like, I mean, just based on what you saw, like, do you think this guy could start in his rookie year, or is he going to be used pretty much just like, on passing situations and that's it until he develops further?
He is purely situational. Purely. Okay. Like if you're drafting him to, a team we're going to touch on later, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are desperate for edge rusher after getting rid of Shaq Barrett. And stay tuned because I do have the perfect replacement for him, and it's not Isaac because I see the promise there. Like you said, there's a lot to build on. He's an excellent building block, but in terms of immediate contribution, even in situational, pass rush, plays, I don't know, maybe like basically, I'm drafting this guy as a, sit him on the bench for a year and develop him. And that, going back to what I said, that's perfectly fine for a 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick. But for early 2nd round pick, which I think he will end up being, that's not okay. If I'm drafting you top of the 2nd, I want you to at least contribute a little bit. So best case, situational pass rusher. Worst case, I, sit him on the bench.
That's fair. All right. So I'm going to take your athletic edge rusher, and I'm going to raise you one because this is arguably a lot of people's first edge rusher off the
I knew you were
board.
going this route.
But for some reason, when I was watching his tape, I didn't see it, and I'm very surprised as to why this guy is everybody's like, for the most part, consensus first edge rusher off the board, and that is Dallas Turner, the edge rusher out of Alabama. Like when I was watching it, I could see all the potential. It's like very much everything that you said about Adisa Isaac. It's like very similar qualities with Dallas Turner, except probably taken up a notch above that because it's just like you see him, it's just like, God, this guy closes on the quarterback so fast. It's just like the quarterback has no chance to get the ball out if Dallas Turner gets a free shot at him. Like he is that fast. He is that quick. He has a good arsenal coming off the edge with his bend and a ghost move, very reminiscent of Von Miller. Like, I mean, that's how he was able to make his name in the NFL. Like Dallas Turner has that type of ghost move and pass rush arsenal to sort of get around the edge and get to the quarterback and just disrupt the passing lanes and just collapse that pocket very easily. Like, I mean, you see that, you see the quickness. I mean, just at times when he's lined up, like actually in line too, he's able to get like very good explosiveness off the line of scrimmage. So he gets good leverage on the offensive lineman. So it's like if the offensive lineman tries to get too aggressive and push his hands out him, he could sort of leverage that and get past him and get into the backfield to stop the ball carrier.
Sorry, is this your love or hate guy?
I had to start with the love stuff. I'm going to get to the hate stuff right after.
You are more kind than me. I just absolutely butchered Isaac, but you're throwing Turner a bone here.
Well, it's like like I said, it's like I can see why a lot of people see this guy as the number one, pass rusher off the board. But I think here's the thing that worries me the most. And it's like I found this a little bit too with some other people that were looking at his tape. It's like I can see this as a problem too. It's just like for me, for him to be a clear-cut number one, it's like these seem like bigger problems that would make me draft this guy possibly as the third one off the board. Like I think I can see Jared Verse and Laiatu Latu going ahead of him, but that's probably not going to be the case. But just like it's the inconsistency. Surprisingly, it's like, especially from an Alabama edge rusher, I expect him to be a lot more polished. I expect him to have a lot better read and recognition skills. But just like there's simple things where just like he's coming off the edge and he's using his hands. It's just like very wild. Like there are times where he actually gets on the offensive lineman pretty well. He's able to use these counter moves and his pass rush arsenal to get to the backfield. But there's other times where just like his placement's a little off and the lineman can easily just lock him up and just get him out of the play sort of thing. It just, on top of that, he's a very fast guy. Like I said, he's very athletic. I know you said that Adisa Isaac could possibly be the quickest edge rusher that you see. I think Dallas Turner
Turner's my
Turner's
very
just
close number two.
Insanely athletic, insanely fast. Like, I mean, he's very much got those tools, but just like in conjunction, then he doesn't really have the power. So if he's coming as an upright edge rusher, like I said, if you're using him in a 3-4 outside linebacker position or using him to come off the edge, if an offensive lineman gets a good jump on him, he doesn't have that power to shed the block. And honestly, there's a lot of tapes where I saw where just like the offensive lineman has it locked up, completely eliminates him for the play. The quarterback can take as much time as he wants to make a play. The running back can sort of slip by him pretty easily. So I mean, it's just like there was a lot of times I saw that. And then you could even argue that's like, okay, well, he played against bigger schools like a Texas, and he played against, Ohio State, and he played against this school. Well, I saw it against Bowling Green.
Ooh.
I saw it against USF. I don't think those are schools that are producing these elite level lines. Like every so often, yes, for sure, there are those outliers, but it's like consistently, it's just like I saw it on tape that just like this guy locked him up and just like that shouldn't happen.
And on top of that, I hate that argument so much. I was just like, oh, well, he didn't perform against the bigger schools. Well, guess who's better than the bigger schools? The NFL.
Exactly. And so that's the thing that worries me. That's just like, is some of these schools that don't have that same talent as some of these bigger blue chip schools in college, they definitely have it at the NFL. So just like, those are the things that sort of concern me. Where just like, he's able to get eliminated so quickly by some linemen that just like, maybe don't have that same talent level as some of those blue chip schools that definitely at the NFL level. I just, one of the good things too, is just like I said, he's undersized. That's how he's able to generate that good speed, that generate that athleticism. But just like, he needs a little bit more to his pass rush. Like, I think he was able to sort of rely on the fact that he was just, the bigger, faster, stronger guy at Alabama against some of these other linemen that are not going to be, big prospects in the NFL. So it's just like, once he gets to the NFL level, he really needs to develop a few more tools in his arsenal to get after the quarterback. Because, yeah, I think there's just a lot of times where just like, he was eliminated. Like literally, it's just like when I saw this tape, I was just like, this needs to be a guy that could consistently get to the pocket, consistently break down the pocket, consistently, become a disruption. But just like I didn't see that. The consistency is the big key with me. And so it's just like he's 100% going to go in the top 10. Like I said, I see the athleticism and I can see why scouts will be salivating for this guy. But for me, I just lack, I think just, I know you could sort of polish him up. And like we're talking about with the Adisa Isaac, where it's just like, you can polish him up, you can teach him, you can season him, and he can become a way better pass rusher. But it's like comparing him to Will Anderson Jr. from last year. It's like, I can see why Will Anderson, the Houston Texans traded up again into the top 3 to get Will Anderson Jr. Whereas like with this, I'd be like, I don't know. I see it maybe as a little bit of a reach. So he's 100% going to go in the top 10. A lot of people are projecting him to go to Atlanta at number 8. I can see that very much happening. But for me, I think he's more of a top 15 pass rusher. So he's still in the first half of the first round. But just to be a top 10 pass rusher, I need a little bit more polish. And I just don't see it with him. So yeah, maybe this is going to be an absolutely freezing cold take eventually. It's like he's going to become, the defensive rookie of the year. And I'm just going to be like, well, that was clearly I was wrong. But just like based on what I saw, it's just like I'm surprised he's being the clear-cut number 1 guy off the board at the edge rusher position.
I'm going to try something here. Swinging for the fences. This is my best Keanu Reeves impersonation. Whoa, deja vu. How was it?
That's actually not bad.
There we go. All right.
Bad.
It's like it's Keanu Reeves in the Matrix, deja vu, because I'm glad you brought that comparison with Will Anderson Jr. because I was saying the exact same things about him last year.
Yeah.
Just like this guy's either going to be really good or really bad, but he's a freak athlete. And I don't know because it was, again, it's deja vu because I was saying the exact same things about the exact same position at the exact same school this time last year. And I said it when the Texans traded up for him. Thank you for bringing that up, by the way, as if I didn't have enough PTSD from this offseason. But I said, I was like, wow, that move is either going to be the best move they've made in this year's draft over drafting CJ Stroud, because they were there for CJ Stroud. He was just there for them. Because clearly that was a good move. But like trading up for Will Anderson, I said this is going to be the move that makes or breaks this draft. Unfortunately, it's looking like it's going to be the one that makes that draft, because I agree with nothing you said was wrong, right? But it's just, I feel like we say this about Alabama pass rushers every single year.
True. It's true. And like I said,
crazy
I wouldn't
athlete.
be surprised if I get proved wrong, but just,
it's something about the way Saban ran that system. And it's going to be very interesting to see now that he's gone if this continues. But it seems, especially with the pass rushers, it just was kind of, what were those old tops where you just like ripped them and just let them go? Like in the 90s. Do you remember that? The battle tops where you just, okay, fine. It's a data reference even for you. But there were these
just called tops. Like, I don't know, they had a special name.
No, there were these like battle tops, and you would like put them, like you would put the like a string or something, and then you just like,
I know exactly what you're talking about, but just like I just thought they were called tops. I didn't know that they had a special name, but like I said, I could be wrong.
This is the oldest segment we've done since talking about Jerry Rice. So anyway, point being though is like I think that was kind of Alabama's approach to pass rushers is just load up the string and just let them rip. And they didn't really coach them up that much, but we see that like they're just such good athletes that like once you get them to the NFL, yes, you can coach them up. So I 100% agree. I think Dallas Turner is overrated, but I do think that if he goes to the right coaching staff, he will be the next Will Anderson. I'm 100% certain of that.
Yeah, like I said, I see it. I could see the potential, but I guess for me, for everybody to call this guy like the first edge rusher off the board, I was just a little bit surprised because just like I saw a lot more inconsistency with some of his technique that just like for him to be the first one off the board, I like some of the other guys maybe a little bit better. So like I said, this could absolutely turn out to be a freezing cold take, or maybe this could actually be the right take. We'll see how it all plays out once we actually get to the draft in 10 days,
2 weeks, something like that. It's gonna
a little less than 2 weeks.
Way too soon.
It is coming so quick.
By the way, Al Rose, screw you. You guys ready for the draft? No, we're not. Leave us alone.
All right, Tal, let's get to the defensive tackle. So who's some guys that you sort of either loving or you're hating at the defensive tackle position?
This is a guy, and this hurts to say, but this is a guy that I've liked from the beginning of the year, and unsurprisingly, because he was, if you watch those like August mock drafts, he was kind of floating around in the first round, but I was like, he's not going to produce enough to keep this stock. And lo and behold, he did not. And that is Michael Hall Jr., the defensive tackle at Ohio State. Now, look, it takes a lot for me to say I like a Buckeye, but damn, I really like this guy. So he's, here's what's hurting him the most is he's 6'3", 290 pounds. So technically he's, quote unquote undersized, and you can see it in the way his gameplay, folds out when watching the tape. Is he does have trouble with some of the bigger offensive linemen. And like I said, if you're having trouble against Michigan's offensive line, how are you going to do against the NFL offensive line?
Yeah.
But here's why I still like him so much is, and we've said this ever since we became the draft show, some of the easiest things to add on in the NFL is weight and strength. Those are two things that, like, if that's a weakness, I'm not really all that worried.
It's true.
And here's the big thing is that's his biggest weakness is just strength. It's like if he can beef up, add on another 20, 30 pounds, and, as is the case with, that add on of weight, get stronger, he's going to be great. He's going to be, I struggle with finding a good comparison for him because he's not quite a Vince Wilfork type. But the reason I make that comparison is because, and this is why I like him so much, his motor is unbelievable. And I try to stay away from those draft, draft, what's the word? Cliches. Yeah. But it fits. And he's not quite at the level of Finacity. He's almost there. He's almost a Finacity level, but he's not quite there. But like, he just never quits on a play. And the thing I like the most about him is he does need to learn how to get off blockers. That's the most common complaint is he just but notice how I'm not saying with Isaac, where Isaac got swallowed. Hall, at least, will he begin the tackle? No, but that blocker is out of the play. Like, he is eliminating that blocker, so it opens up opportunities for other teammates. So right now, Hall's, projected to be anywhere from a third to a fifth round pick. I think he'll probably go in the third. And no, I'm not going to say he's going to be a immediate contributor, but once again, once he beefs up, he has that athleticism, he has that potential to be a really, really solid starter, to potentially a Pro Bowl player for a team. Whoever drafts him, he is absolutely my favorite, not even defensive tackle, but my favorite defensive edge rusher, pass rusher player in this year's draft. I really like the potential in this guy, but emphasis on potential. Like, he's not going to blow you away with stats next year. 2 or 3 years down the road, I'm going to be saying I told you so.
Hey, that'd be a good sort of thing to put your hat on for sure. So, I mean, yeah, Michael Hall, I remember watching him a little bit at the combine, going through the position drills. I was like, okay, this guy's got a little bit of potential. So, I mean, yeah, I have to dive into his tape a little bit more. I haven't gotten so deep into defensive tackles just yet. But yeah, it's always good when you have guys that have that potential, just like you need to coach up a few things. So, I mean, yeah, that I very much can get on board with all of that. So, I got to bring up another guy at the defensive tackle position that I'm actually surprisingly high on. And honestly, when I was watching this guy at the combine, I really didn't have a huge, understanding as far as the field, as far as like, okay, these are some of the good guys. Like, I knew about the guys from Texas, your Devondre Sweats, your Byron Murphys, obviously Chris Jenkins. But outside of that, I was like, okay, who else in this defensive tackle class can I sort of think about as possibly being a good draft pick? And then it's like, I saw this guy out of Clemson. I was just like, who is this guy?
I almost picked this guy.
So surprising. I was just like, why is he doing so well at the combine? I never heard of this guy. So I added to my list. I was like, this is a guy I need to watch a little bit more tape on, because it's just like, this guy looked very smooth going to the position drills. And hopefully I'll get his name right by the draft, but I think I have it right. But it's the guy out of Clemson who I just mentioned. His name is Ruke Orororo, I believe. That's how you say it correctly.
I thought it was Ruke Orororo. But either way, it's Ororo.
I've heard it so many different ways, but just, yeah, I think it's Orororo. Like I said, I'll have to make sure to double check that one before we get to the actual draft here. But just I watching this guy, I'm just like, man, this guy looks sensational going through the position drills. And just, once again, actually very similar prospects that we're discussing here, where it's just just like Michael Hall Jr., they're saying out of Ohio State, this is an undersized defensive tackle at the University of Clemson. Like, you see, he's got the length. He's 6'4", coming at 295, so he's a shade under that 300 pounds. So that's usually what they qualify as them as undersized defensive tackles. But it's he uses that undersized to his ability, to his advantage then, right? So it's he's a little bit quicker, he's a little bit faster, he generates good interior pass rush then. He's got some good moves on some slower interior offensive linemen. Great first step. Like, I love the
Yeah,
first step. Like,
yeah.
he's just very fast right off the ball, can really get a jump on the offensive lineman. And that's, like I said, where he uses that advantage of him being a little bit undersized then. That's like, not only does he have the first step then, but then he's got a good enough move and a good enough speed to then just get past the offensive lineman, get into the backfield, disrupt the pocket, and really force the quarterback to make a decision quickly. So, like I said, he's got some good technique. He's got some good rush, but I think just the one thing, because he's undersized, it's very much like you said, where it's like if an offensive lineman locks him up, he's not as strong or as, doesn't have that same technique to shed blockers to then be as effective in the run game. So, especially if you're going to play defensive tackle at the NFL level, you got to be a contained defensive. Well, once again, it depends on the scheme that you land in, but you need to be able to hold your contained in rushing lanes or be able to move down the line pretty well to shed your blocker and then make a play down the field. So I don't see that as much on the tape that I was watching, but I did see when passing situations, like this is a guy that can generate good pass rush, like very similar to like a Javon Hargrave. Now, Javon Hargrave's obviously a lot bigger of a defensive lineman, so he's got the strength behind him. But I think with Rook Orororo, I think I added too many rows that time. It's just like, oh, this is gonna be fun.
That sound your dog makes when he's howling at the moon, just make that.
Exactly. Probably what happened when this the total eclipse happened on Sunday this past weekend. So that's probably what happened. But just so I think some of the things that I like with him is just like he's got a little bit more polish. Like I said, he's got that speed. So it's like you keep him at defensive tackle depending on the scheme that you run, or maybe you move it like we are talking about. Like they're kind of eliminating that defensive end traditional ones. Like maybe this is the way that you can sort of use him as sort of like a defensive end, like a 3-4 system, or maybe in a 4-3 system as well. But just like maybe he could play that end if he doesn't want to bulk up that much and take away, because that's one of the things that you sort of miss then. It's like if you bulk up too much and you gain too much mass, then you lose some of your speed and so use some of your quickness.
Style,
exactly right. So it's like if that totally eliminates the things that make Rook Orororo very effective, then it's like I understand. It's like, okay, keep him a little bit undersized and make sure you can take advantage of his speed and his quickness. And then, like I said, just maybe use versatile alignment. You line him up in different spots so you can take advantage of him, taking advantage of the lesser athletic offensive lineman, and then that's how you can get good effectiveness. But honestly, there's a lot of things that I like. I'm seeing him actually, projected LAFB Network. I'm seeing him projected to the Rams in the second round. So I mean, it's like this is a very good potential guy that you can develop a little bit further. Obviously, not at that Aaron Donald level. They're not going to find the next Aaron Donald in this guy, but a guy who could sort of be a good rotational piece. Pair him up with a few other guys that I think he could be very effective. Also, in his rookie year as well. I think he's got that potential to really contribute his rookie year. But Rook Orororo, we'll make sure we get his last name correct by the time we get to the draft.
You'll make sure. I'm not trying that.
There's a lot to like about him for sure.
See, like I said, I looked at his tape.
Okay.
I didn't hate what I saw, but this is the reason I kind of moved him off of my underrated list is what's his ceiling? Like I was watching his tape, I was just like, okay, maybe solid starter. Like that was kind of a ceiling. Even then I was like, yeah, because I am glad you did, set yourself up well with the safety option where I think his future in the NFL is at the purely defensive end position. And I'll tell you why is there's one play in particular. I was watching this game against Miami this past year, and you absolutely net great first step to kind of get in that backfield and force the running back for Miami to divert to the other side of the field. Great, that's what I love to see. He peels off and is running towards the sideline to try to help out on the play. And this Miami guard, not even that big of a guy, just your very typical college guard, just comes and flattens him. And it wasn't like, oh, he didn't see him coming. He was looking directly at him.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, is he powerful enough to be a defensive tackle at the next level? And that's why I cut him from my underrated list because
it's definitely not. He's not going to play defensive tackle at the NFL level until, like you said, that he builds up a little bit of muscle mass, builds up.
But like you said, will that kill his play style?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the risk he runs.
Exactly. So it's just, put him. He reminds me a lot of Joe. Oh God, I'm hoping I pronounced this right. Joe Tryon. The Washington
Tryon Shionka out of Washington, right? Yeah.
Damn it! Why do
Joe
I do
Tryon
this to myself?
Shionka,
yeah. But Joe Tryon was one of those where I was like, I don't know, like I don't see him as an edge rusher. And Tampa Bay agreed, and they put him in at defensive end, and he's been killing it. at defensive end. He's been very good for Tampa Bay. So it's one of those situations of like, if the team knows how to utilize him properly, yes, I see a very, productive, 8-year career for him. But if a team is going to plug him in at defensive tackle, be like, this is our small little athletic Dexter and Donald, you're fucked.
No, exactly. He's not going to be that type of player for you.
See, the cops are already calling on and
But yeah, I think he has a lot of good skills that I think he'll be a very good starter, but I don't know if he has the skill set. We'll see, obviously, but I don't know if he has the skill set to reach that, like, all pro, constant Pro Bowl type of level. He'll be a very good contributor for your defensive line.
Yeah.
And that's something that you want sometimes in the second or possibly even the third round.
But that's the thing. No, not the second round. Like if he would, it's the same thing with Carter Hall Jr. For some reason I want to call him Michael Carter Jr., even though it's Michael Hall Jr. Yeah. It's the same thing with Hall Jr. Sure. Is third, fourth, fifth, yes, then you slowly develop into a contributor, fine. But if I'm taking you in the second, you better be producing as a rookie for me. Like first and second, there's a reason we don't do day 3 live stream.
That's fair. Yeah. So if he goes to the second round, that may be a little bit high, but I can also see the potential there. There's like, moving across the defensive line there. He could find a good spot. You can season him up. But yeah, if he goes to the third round, I think that's a good steal. You grab him there.
Solid placement. I like him more as a fourth rounder, but at that point, we're just splitting hairs.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're talking about good fits here, Tad. You're talking about, Joe Tryon-Shiaka going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They put him at the defensive end. That's a good fit there. We're talking about, the Rams possibly in play for Rook Orororo. We got a lot of other good fits here. So, let's look at some edge rushers here. And what is a very good edge fit for a possible team here in the NFL?
Well, let's talk about Tryon's current team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right, let's pay off this tease you made.
I don't know why I do this to myself. The absolute perfect pick, dream scenario if I'm Tampa Bay, and they're 26, which, by the way, much higher than I thought Tampa Bay would be picking. I had a fact check. I was like, is this like mock draft I'm looking at? Is there a trade that happened where Tampa Bay traded? No, Tampa Bay's just at 26. So good for Tampa Bay. I think so. Like I said, they let Shaq Barrett go last month, and that made sense because look, New Orleans can learn a certain thing from Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay is like paying a lot of players a lot of money, but they know when to just cut bait and be like, no, we're not going to go $50 million over the cap. We're going to cut bait with Shaq Barrett, even though he is good. And by the way, great signing by Miami. Fantastic signing by them. But anyway, so they need a pass rusher to replace Shaq Barrett. But with Tryon, Vita Vea, they have a pretty good pass rush presence right now. So they just need a guy they can slowly bring along for a year or two. And this is a guy, I swear to God, any other draft that wasn't so offensively loaded, this guy would, like you said, he would be giving Dallas Turner a run for his money as the first edge rusher off the board. Some people still are saying he will be, but I don't think he will. And that is, I don't know why I do this to myself, Laiatu Latu.
Yeah, you actually got it right.
I'm so alert. How about that, underdogs? Yeah. A lot of people just lost a lot of money. Look, Latu's awesome. I love him. Like, I watched his tape and I'm just like, how is he not a top, like, guaranteed top 15 pick? And the problem is, it's just, you got, okay, a third of the top 15 is probably going to be quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So then you got 10 picks left. One's going to be Brock Bowers. The other like 3 or 4 are going to be receivers. One's going to be Dallas Turner. So automatically you're down to like 3 or 4. And I didn't even bring in your Joel lineman. Yeah.
So I was like, he's going to slide, unfortunately, when he shouldn't.
Because he has level talent. So fucking good, dude. That man has finacity. You know what? First finacity stamp of the episode right there. Because
quite panacious.
Oh my, it's finacity.
Well, Phoenicius is the
no, it's finacity. Take it or leave it. But I mean, the dude's just a production machine. Last year, not his career stats, keep in mind. Last year, 21.5 tackles for losses, 13 sacks, 2 picks, 2 forced fumbles. That's like defensive player of the year numbers.
It is. No, it is. He definitely
is so damn good. And
amazing.
Like, really, the only weakness I can find in his game is he tends to stand up straight a lot, which is kind of annoying. Because it's like, man, if you just learn how to kind of bend a little bit more, working that leverage, he could have ended with 20 sacks in this season. I wholly believe that. So, but like I said, like I'm nitpicking at this point. for whatever reason, he's probably going to fall into the 20s. And I think that the Buccaneers can put him in a great situation where he has the opportunity to succeed right away. And even if he doesn't have that pressure because, like I said, with all these other good, credit where it's due, Tampa Bay has drafted incredibly well the last couple of years. And so
well.
they have this, very good kind of base of pass rushers where if Latu comes along a little more slowly than people expect, he doesn't have that pressure. It's not going to be people screaming, "Where's Latu?" with only 2 sacks. And then I really think if Tampa Bay takes him in 2 years, he's just going to be Shaq Barrett all over again, where he's just racking up, 10 to 15 sacks a year on a consistent basis.
Yeah, believe me, I love Latu, and I actually have him going earlier than Tampa Bay in my
He's a wild
mock
card.
draft.
It's gonna be
And I'm
tough.
pretty sure in my next mock draft that we will release before the draft happens, which will look out for that on our social media handles. That should be coming towards probably the beginning of next week. There, I have him going to the hometown team in the Los Angeles Rams there at 19. So I mean, it's like I think he's probably going to go in that top 20 picks. But yeah, it's just unfortunate because the guy is just so talented, and I think he could be a potential top 15, maybe even top 10 pick in other drafts.
He should be a top 10
but
pick.
just there's so many other high positions on the offensive side of the ball. And like you said, it's just unfortunately he's going to slide because of that. But just, yeah, he's got very high level of skill. And I think he's going to be an immediate contributor to whichever team lands in. If he lands at Tampa Bay, like that's a home run pick for them to get him all the way at 26. Like that's fantastic value there. But yeah, like I said, for me, I see him right now slating there at 19 to the Rams because they could use some pass rush help for sure. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it is a bit of a wild card because he has that talent level that some team may decide to take a chance on him a little bit earlier, and he may go in that top 15 still. Or it's like, yeah, they value those other positions a little bit too highly, like your offensive linemen, your wide receivers, like you're talking about. The quarterback position, like I don't know how that's all going to shape up. Like we got 3 for sure, but it's like, are people going to trade up and get maybe 4 or 5 in that top 15 too? Like that's a very high probability potentially, depending on what these teams do with those other quarterbacks. So yeah, that's just going to fortunately make him slide a little bit further. But Laiatu Latu going to the Buccaneers, like that's a fantastic fit. And if that happens, like I said, great value. But for me, I think he goes maybe a little bit sooner.
I hope he goes sooner. I hope I'm wrong.
I do too. I love this guy. He's got a immense level of skill. Like I said, I like him a little bit better than Dallas Turner because he's a little bit more polished.
There's argument to be made there.
It is what it is.
And another thing too is he reminds me of another edge rusher where he's slipping for a bullshit medical reason, which is Robert Quinn had a brain tumor in high school, and all these teams were free. Robert Quinn should have gone top 5 in that year's draft, and instead he slipped to the Rams at I believe number 10, maybe it was 11, just because they were like, what if the brain tumor comes back? It's like it's literally you have like 5 doctors telling you it's not going to, and they're just like but what if it does? Okay. And it's the same deal with Latu is he did miss an entire year at Washington due to a neck injury. That was 2 years ago. And ever since then, he's racked up about 25 sacks. So I think he's going to be just fine. But these NFL teams are still like, well, if it comes back, it's just like, it won't. It's not Freddy Krueger. It's fine.
Yeah, but I think the big thing that difference between Latu and Quinn specifically is just that Latu even considered like retiring. Like he was just like, yeah, this is just so affecting me. And just like, so I can understand a little bit more hesitation there. But yeah, like you said, he's got back-to-back years with solid production. That's just like, okay, I think he could put that aside and just look at the talent because yeah, he's got it for sure.
Yeah. If the combine doctors give me the thumbs up, I'm just like striking that from my notes.
Exactly. So I'm going to go with my edge rusher fit here. I'm going to go with Darius Robinson, the edge rusher out of Missouri.
I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on it.
Going to the Arizona Cardinals at the very top of the second round, because I mean, what do the Cardinals not need help on? Because I mean, they've sold out practically all their receivers. They need help there. They're probably going to go Marvin Harrison Jr.
Safety. They're okay at safety. They got Buddha.
That is true. And, for now, I guess they're good at quarterback with Kyler Murray, I guess. But just like, outside of that,
I wouldn't say they're good at quarterback. It's just,
That's what I said. It's like, in some eyes, they're good. In some eyes, it's like they're ready to move on, whatever it is. But just like, they need help pretty much across the board. You definitely need some help in that defensive department, getting some good edge rushers for sure. And I think Darius Robinson is a good fit here because they used him at Missouri as like an edge rusher. They also used him as a defensive tackle. Like they're lining him across the board, across all the defensive line position because he had that versatility. But I think very similar to like we were talking about with some of the other guys that were brought up with Rook Orororo and Adisa Isaac and, Michael Hall Jr. It's like, I think at college they had that versatility because they were able to take advantage of that, less athletic offensive linemen that they're facing, and just being able to use their quickness a little bit easier at the college level. But at the NFL level, they'll kind of have to make a decision as far as like, okay, are we going to bulk this guy up and use him as a defensive tackle, or are we going to let him use his quickness and maybe even trim a little bit and keep him as an edge rusher? So it's like Darius Robinson, I think, can go in either direction. I think it's like you see good strength. So it's like, okay, if you build him up a little bit further, he can be a traditional defensive tackle, nose tackle in either a 4-3 alignment or a 3-4 alignment, whatever you want to do there. I think he's got that strength, that upper body. He can sort of bulldoze like consistently. I was watching on the tape that just like he's able to push the lineman into the backfield and force the quarterback to either move out of it or throw the ball away or hand the ball off on an RPO situation, whatever it is. But just like I saw that on a consistent basis, that it's like he's got that good strength. So it's like either build that up and he becomes a solid defensive tackle, or you go the other direction where it's like I saw him on the edge. It's like he's got good quickness, he's got good edge rushing speed. That's just like he could come off the edge, and then because he has that upper body strength, he's able to get past some of those tackles by some good crossover moves and some arm rip moves and some swim moves to get into the backfield that way too. So it's like I saw good pressure with his strength that he could come off the edge, or like I said, you just build him up a little bit further and use him as a defensive tackle than his traditional alignment there. So getting this guy, I think, really gives Arizona just, a bevy of options. They could just, keep him as a defense tackle, that they attack edge rusher a little bit later, or they use him as edge rusher and then they attack the defensive tackle a little bit later. They get a Michael Hall like the third round or something like that. Maybe that's a potential thing that they can sort of pair up that way. But just either way, it's just I see a lot of potential with him where it's like you can line him up wherever you want and just take him in whichever direction that you want to take him with your defense there. So picking him at the top of the second, I think he's got that potential to be an immediate contributor. And just like I said, having that versatility with that strength, with the quickness, with the agility that he has, I think you can line him up wherever you want and really give him a clear path, as far as where you want him to go as a traditional edge rusher or defensive end, or bulk him up and put him as a defense tackle. So that's why I like Darius Robinson going to the Cardinals.
This is unfair to do to you, but scale from 1 to 10, 10 being like, he's the next, John Randall, Ndamukong Suh type. No, I'm not saying he is.
I'll stop that now. Like, I know you're going somewhere with this, but just like, yeah, he's not going to get to that level.
Students where you won't let me finish a goddamn sentence. So for lunch today, what's for lunch? Clearly, I'm about to tell you. 1 to 10, where would you rank Robinson?
I put him at like about 8. I like the potential with him.
Okay,
I like
you are way higher on him than I am.
Oh, you're just not as huge fan of him?
I'm not saying I don't like him. I put him at like 6.5.
Okay.
Like I see the promise there. I will tell you what, it's like that scene at draft day where they watch they're like, go back and watch the tape. And they're like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I was watching before this quarterback panics the very next play. It's like Robinson made some very good plays during the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State. And that's the first thing I do with these prospects is I go back and watch the biggest game of their year of this past season.
Makes sense.
He got swallowed up a lot against Ohio State. And that worried me. That worried me a lot. And I definitely see the promise. Like you said, that upper body strength is insane. He is fast, man. Yeah. Like these edge rushers, defensive tackles, they are fast. So it's just kind of like what you said, like, where do you play him? I think matters to his NFL success, but I mean, you also weren't wrong there. Arizona can play him literally anywhere. I don't think he's a defensive tackle, though. So I like the fact that you kind of put him in this edge rusher group. I like him a lot. Clearly some people are higher on him than I am, but like Arizona, I mean, they could basically pick anyone and I'd just be like, yeah, no, that's a good pick because they just need help everywhere.
Essentially. Yeah. But yeah, I think because they need some help on that defensive line, getting a guy like Darius Robinson, I think that, like I said, they could choose where they want to play him and build him up. And like I said, give him a clear path as far as his direction, as far as how they want to use him in that defense. And so, yeah, maybe he can play the defensive tackle position. I think he can with that strength that he shows. But yeah, maybe he can't, like you said, with some, stronger NFL offensive linemen. Maybe his strength won't be as effective as it was at the college level. But either way, very productive defensive lineman, I should say specifically. So I think Arizona gets a good piece there with him. So, all right, let's get to another fit here. What else do you like?
I like Jer'Zhan Newton to the Rams. Get your Latu at 19 out of here. They're taking Newton. So
I can
look,
see it. I can see it.
and this was in my mock draft in our previous episode a couple weeks ago at this point, maybe a month ago.
Something like that. Yeah.
But this is the exact pick I had in my mock draft, and honestly, unless something changes in the next week or so, this will be my pick in my next mock draft. It just makes too much
Okay.
sense. Is
All right.
Newton is another wild card, just like Latu. Of like he could go top 15, he could slip all the way to mid-second round. No one knows where this
It's true.
kid, the defensive tackle out of Illinois, is going to go, and here's why: is because he's 6'2", 304 pounds. So as Amir, you were saying before, technically that does qualify him as undersized. He could still kick both of our asses with an arm tied behind his back, but
At the same time.
at the same time, exactly. Just flick me away, and he's got you to deal with. But when it comes to the NFL, 6'2" sets off some red flags. But I think that's why he's such a good fit for the Rams, is because, like we were talking about, is it's no longer a pure position, defensive tackle or defensive end. They kind of kick you around everywhere, and that's what they were doing with Donald. Is Donald was no longer going straight up the middle toward the end of his career. He was playing a fairly good amount of defensive end as well. In fact, I would love to see the stats on this. It may even be a majority at end rather than tackle by the end of his career. And Newton is that kind of guy where he's smaller, more athletic. He can play that type of versatility for you. Yes, he does need to get more physical and everything, but he has that athleticism. He has great hand moves. I love his swing move that he constantly pulls off. He just feels like he is not going to be defensive rookie of the year immediately for the Rams. But look, let's call a spade a spade. Aaron Donald screwed the Rams. He did. They could have prepared for a succession plan, but instead they was just a post free agency. He was like, "Nah, I'm good." They were just like, "Ah, damn it, come on!" So this is the best immediate fix because Newton is the type of defensive tackle who can develop into a very solid to good starter for the Rams. I think that they need to go for him because he is, in my opinion, the best defensive tackle in this year's draft, bar none. And they can get him at 19, very realistically.
No, 100%. I think defensive tackle is very much in play at 19. I'm seeing a lot more of Byron Murphy out of Texas. I think people rate him a little bit higher than Jer'Zhan Newton out of Illinois. So, I mean, it's really just pick your flavor there as far as which one you like a little bit better. But yeah, no, I 100% agree that defensive tackle is very much in play there at 19. But I think just, yeah, for me, it's just like, like I said, this is a spoiler alert for me. It's just like, I have Laiatu Latu going at 19 to the Rams still. Like, that's probably going to be
that would be a good pick too.
So I think that's just, they need that sort of extra help there. It just, the local kid, I think that would be fantastic there. But Newton would be an excellent addition too. Like you said, it's just like he's got a lot of skills that I like, and I think he contribute very quickly for that Rams front for sure. So I'm going to go with the other LA team. I got to pick for the Chargers here at the second round, the 37th overall pick.
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh drafts his own guy. I think Chris Jenkins goes to the Los Angeles Chargers there at the 5th overall pick in the second round, the 37th overall
I have Blake Corum going there. It's going to be a Michigan
That's a
player,
possibility, but I can see a very much a situation where it's like, I can't remember what media I was looking at on social media or whatever it was. It's just like somebody said that's like Jim Harbaugh's going to draft a lot of his own guys, and I can very much see that happening because it's just like
Roman Wilson, get your powder blue jersey ready.
I can see that happening too in the 3rd or 4th round. Roman Wilson becoming a Charger as well, but just like I see this year, they have a hole at the defensive tackle position right now as far as their front line is concerned. They're running a 3-4 previously, but with Jesse Minter coming in, he ran a 4-2-5, so it's going to be a 4-man front. But currently, they had Morgan Cox, Otito Ogbonnia, I believe that's how you say his last name.
Wrong guy to be asking.
And they signed Puda Ford in the free agency. So it's like that was their 3-man front. But it's like you look at that, it's like I think you can use an upgrade. Most likely, like I said, they're going to go to a 4-man front with Jesse Minter coming in. That's what he ran at Michigan. So I can see that happening here. So Jenkins, son of, a very productive defensive lineman, and Chris Jenkins Sr., who played for the Carolina Panthers, who I can also see be in play, like drafting his kid to the same team that, his dad played for.
Am I mixing it up, or did he also play for Green Bay?
I think Chris Jenkins might have played a season or two at Green Bay, but he played majority of his career Carolina. So that's where he made a name for himself for sure.
I know him as Packer, but that's my age showing. Anyway, carry on.
Exactly, 100%. But just, Carolina has 2 picks in the top of the 2nd round, so he could be in play for them as well. But like I said, I like Jim Harbaugh drafting his own guys. They need to upgrade the defensive tackle position. They can use this guy. He's got great strength, great first step off the line to sort of get linemen off guard. Just very good at shedding blockers too. Like there's consistently a lot of times where it's like, sort of we're talking about with Darius Robinson, where it's like, he's good at shedding blockers, but Rook Orororo was not as good. This guy can absolutely shed blockers and move right down the line to get to the ball carrier and make a play on the defense. He is very good, very active hands as well. He forced an interception, if I remember correctly, in one of the plays as well. So it's like he's got that good versatility, good awareness as well. So I mean, just like, yeah, like I said, this is a guy that 100% Jim Harbaugh would be interested in upgrading his defensive line and getting his own guy. So it's just like, I just see that as a match made in heaven for sure.
I was wrong. He played for the Jets to end his career. I don't know who.
That's what it was.
Isn't there some? Am I thinking of Elgton Jenkins?
He's an offensive lineman.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
But right, Ted, I agree with that. Yeah. Small, real quick analysis. Small athletic defensive tackle. And that's the funny thing is, I was excited. I have not watched any of his tape yet. I watched a lot of Michigan, so I definitely am familiar with his play style. But as I'm reading NFL.com's scouting profile, they were like, oh, he won't work as a bull rush. He doesn't have that pop. He doesn't have that strength. That, again, with the kind of the day of the pure defensive end being done, that day of being pure defensive tackle, like stronger than the other guy, that day's kind of done too. Aaron Donald kind of killed that. So no, I like it. I think that could be a very solid fit. And I'm very excited for the Los Angeles Wolverines.
Gonna happen. All right, Tad, let's really quickly close this out with just some, edge rusher sleepers, defensive tackle sleepers, just anybody in the defensive line. Just who's one more guy that you want to talk about?
I watched half a game of this guy. And I'm like, I love you. It's Dwayne Carter. At the defensive tackle at Duke. He is so good. He has all the makings of a great, like that is a prospect I look at. Do not look like him, trust me.
No.
But I look at him and I go,
highly doubt it.
Future.
I don't know what his measurables are, but I'm just still going to say it. Highly doubt it.
About a foot is the difference there. So, but like instantly, I was watching a game, I think it was against Notre Dame, where it was the very first play of his I watched, and the center snaps the ball, stands up, and he just like swipes the center out of the way. I'm like,
nice.
Oh, you are great. And he's really athletic, has a really good, like I said, with swipe, he has a good understanding of the, pass rush arsenal. He doesn't just depend on his athleticism, which is why I like so much. He needs to be more sure of himself. Way too often he hangs back and lets the play develop. That's not your job, man. You're not the corner. You're not the safety. You're the defense tackle. Go after him. Develop some aggressiveness. But in terms of like things to develop in general, like he is the perfect blank canvas for the right team. If this man goes to the Steelers, God help us all.
That'd be pretty crazy. I like that one. I'll need to watch some tape on him. I'm going to go a little bit deeper than you. I'm going to go with Jalix Hunt. First off, fantastic name. But he went
Spell that for me.
Jalyx. He's got an X in his
I love
name.
him already.
Fantastic.
That's great.
Ending with an X, like that is fantastic. So Jalix Hunt out of Houston Christian. So this is a
I've heard of this
FCS school. Yeah, a lot of people are starting to talk about him. He's got a great versatile skill set. He played wide receiver and corner in high school. Then he played safety at Cornell. Transferred to Houston Christian. That's where they convert him to a defensive end. I mean, he was the Southland Conference Defensive Player of the Year last year. He had 46 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception, returned for a touchdown, mind you. And he also blocked a kick. Like, I mean, this guy is uber athletic. Like, I mean, you see it on tape when I was watching it for sure. He was invited to both the Shrine Bowl as well as the Senior Bowl. That's probably why you heard of him as well, coming from a smaller school that way, but just definition of a speed rusher. Like, my God, this guy is very, very fast. Like, he might give Dallas Turner a run for his money with his speed. Like, he is that fast for sure. But here's the thing, like you're saying, where it's like, you can't really quantify these guys as far as like being, outside linebackers or edge rushers. This guy's a stand-up pass rusher. Like, they never used him as a defensive lineman. Like, he was purely coming off the edge as that fastball to come after the quarterback. But, I mean, you see that speed. Like, I mean, whenever there's a play that's going past him, you see him running down the field to catch up with the ball carrier. Sometimes he even make the play himself. But, I mean, it's like you see that sort of, like, awareness as well. Like I said, he played safety. He played receiver. So, it's like you see some of that read and recognition skills. So, it's like even if he's coming off the edge, he's smart enough to, like, stop and process the play and understand where the ball is going. He also, like Ted, he's got the speed that he was covering slot receivers and staying with them. Like, I mean, that's how much speed this guy has. He's got that coverage skills ability as well. So it's like, there's a lot that you can like about it, but yes, 100% very, very raw. Like, there's a lot that you have to work with him. Like I said, if you want to use him as a traditional down lineman, that's something you have to work on. If you want to shift it, like maybe I could even see him being like, something like Mark Barron, where it's like he was drafted as a safety and they moved him to linebacker. But it's like, I think this could be a similar situation where it's like maybe they start him as an edge rusher, but maybe they see that coverage skills. They move him to linebacker, or maybe
Isaiah Simmons.
something like that. Yeah, exactly. That's a very good comparison. So it's like I could see that happening with this guy too. There's a lot that you like. He's a day 3 pick for sure, but I think he could be one of those diamonds in the rough that you draft on day 3. There's just like, oh yeah, there's a lot to like about him. He may not become a star ever, but just like he'll be a very good rotational piece. They're just like, yeah, this is a guy that we want all over the field because he can make plays for you. So it's just like, yeah, I was watching his tape. I was just like, yeah, there's a lot to like about this guy.
No, I remember why I've heard of him because I almost picked him for our small school episode.
Yeah, no, exactly.
He was on my radar, and then Kamara, the edge rusher out of Colorado State.
Yep.
I liked him a little bit better.
That's
why I went with him. But I completely agree because I know the guy I'm about to compare him to was a day 2 pick, if I'm not mistaken. But he is this year's Martu Mape, which is small school guy, freak athlete. Draft him, you'll figure out something to do with him.
Exactly.
And Mape was one of the very few bright spots for the New England last year. If I'm not, he was a 2nd round pick last year, right?
I think he's a 3rd round pick.
Was he a 3rd round pick? Day 2, regardless. But this player is absolutely one where if like Indianapolis drafted him in the 6th round, I'm like, sweet, I'm happy compared to the who gives a shit Kansas State offensive lineman that is going to suck in the 6th round. At that point, go pure athleticism. See what you can do with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think he's got a lot of potential. Depending on where he lands, he can develop quite quickly and become a very strong contributing piece very early in his career. But that will close out our defensive line episode, guys. We covered a lot of content here.
That was the most sports heavy episode we've done in quite a while.
It was quite a bit. There was a lot of analysis there. But I mean, guys, we're getting close to the draft, just like Tad said. That's just like it's going to be here sooner than you think. So, I mean, guys, if there's stuff that you want us to cover that we don't get to in episode, hit us up on our social media handles. It's coming right across there on your screen there. You got us on Twitter. You got me at UpInside23. You got Tad at Tad Side 94. Got the show handle at The Inside Guys. And, of course, on Instagram at The Inside Guys as well. So hit us up. Is there a guy that you want us to look at? We'll look at him for you. We'll give you your analysis for you, sort of thing. We'll give you our rankings on all our social media handles. Tad is very good at dropping all those handles on both Twitter as well as Instagram. So we're doing all the position groups. So make sure you're aware of all those social media handles so you can be up to date with those graphics. Subscribe or listen to your podcast and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel as well. And guys, please support our parent network at LAFB Network because without them, there would be no us to give you lots of great content when it comes to the Chargers and the Rams at the pro level and the Trojans and the Bruins at the college level. Lots of great content coming from them. And guys, I mean, just any way that you're supporting us, whether you're listening to the podcast, subscribing to our, YouTube channel, whether you're interacting with us on social media, I mean, just anything and everything that you're doing to support us, we can't thank you enough.
And we got position rankings dropping almost every day on social media. We are dropping tight end rankings. If not today, then I don't exactly know when this episode is dropping, but tight end rankings by the time you're listening or watching this, probably already on social media. And then we got our offensive tackle and, offensive guard / center rankings. That's right. There are 2 different ones. And then on top of the, we're starting with defense now. We're going to start with defense on, social media as well. So be sure to check out those rankings. If you disagree or agree with us on anything, let us know. We'd love to discuss the draft. And plus, if there's any draft coverage you like during our live stream of rounds 1, 2, and 3, confirm that we are doing a day 2 live stream. Me from the Airbnb, which will be very interesting.
That'll be very fun.
It's going to be interesting. But if you want us to cover something during that live stream, trust me, there's a lot of dead air to fill. We can make it work. So let us know. Hit us up on those social media accounts right below if you're watching on YouTube. So as always, guys, we do this because we care about you. We want to arm you with the best info and make you look smart in front of your friends. So keep listening, keep watching. As always, everyone, please stay safe.